Hello my friends, it's great to see you again. Today I decided to turn the mirror around because a lot of people are saying that Tesla sales are going to plummet, and obviously the competition is coming for the market. I decided to dig deeper and find out actually what is true and what is not. Well, the results will shock you. Welcome, my friends. You are watching the Better Future Project, where we are all about sharing positivity, knowledge, and having a good time together. Of course, we are building a real investment portfolio as well. There are some changes. We've picked up 11 stocks. I'm going to be monitoring those companies and I'm going to be talking about them. But now let's get back to Tesla and the competition of Tesla. So, firstly, it seems that Elon Musk continues to remove people from Tesla regardless of their position. If they are not needed, Elon Musk is cutting them loose. As a default, from other interviews and other people that work for Elon Musk, if you don't bring enough onto the table, you will be fired. You'll be just let go from the company. And literally managers and leaders into the lines of Tesla needs to have a reason to keep staff, and if they don't have strong enough reason, then the staff members needs to go. So if you work at Tesla, you work real hard. Actually, this makes me very proud because working hard is what makes me happy. So let's look into some of the let's look into some of the biggest sales of the competition in America. On first look, everything seems okay. Like for example, in America, you've got GM and Ford as main competition for Tesla. But currently, the one of the highest sales models of electric vehicles from GM has been discontinued. That means they are not going to be selling anymore that model. Mary Barra is saying that they're going to be producing different models, and I don't know, they are basically saying all the time different things, that they're going to have like 30 models with 50 options and whatnot, which I don't understand. This strategy seems to be like counterproductive, because how Tesla does it is just like how iPhone does it, it's just how Samsung does it, just like Apple does it. You create one killer product for each category, and then you make this product really good. Model Y, for example, has been updated continuously throughout the years, and it's getting really good. It's better, it's updated. Even older versions have better software, which makes them better cars out there. And even though the model looks the same, under the hood the things are different. So make sure to do your homework when you are investing in companies, because you need to understand that there is a lot more going under the paint. So I looked into these companies and I can see that 4 are currently losing many hundreds of millions, actually billions of US dollars, trying to just produce electric vehicles, drop the prices to the levels of Tesla that they are acceptable for the wealthy people in America, and they still sell them on crazy amounts of losses. And the reports that I can find and I can read is anything between $40,000 and $60,000 per vehicle. This is huge. This number is just huge. It's very big. So I decided, okay, maybe in America some of the legacy automakers are quite slow to catch up. So I moved to Europe, where you have a big diversity of countries, of a lot of nationalities. All those nationalities have different advantages, different knowledge, and of course they can all bring together, they can all brought in together in a company and make an amazing products with features that we can just look into sci-fi movies and read into books. So Volkswagen is owning, as we know, some part of Cupra. Of course, Audi or Audi, depending of where you're coming, you can call it in different name. And of course, I think Bentley. But what we tend to see is that Volkswagen is trying to bring electric models everywhere from all the brands they own, and of course Volkswagen themselves. They also try to produce a better electric vehicles, and into the process they are really slow. Firstly, they're very late onto the table. Secondly, and one of the things that really hit the European car makers is the lack of software engineers. I don't know what is about Silicon Valley and America, but Elon Musk is managing to pull all these engineers and create product that is why outshining anything else. Second position just literally needs a telescope to see how far Tesla is. So I don't know, Volkswagen probably will have to do something about it. They have made some steps towards it. They've literally fired all their software engineers in Europe, and they bought a company back in China, and they decided to use that company in order to start progressing with the software into their cars. So far so with BMW as well, and other car manufacturers in Europe like Mercedes. They seem to be producing some electric vehicles that are too expensive and too unreliable. We can hear some horrible feedback coming from some of those cars, not only about the price but also about the maintenance. It seems that Tesla is just like they are just like a league of their own, in a league of their own. They just have the model that has the cheapest maintenance for 10 years. It comes to about $4,000. That's less than $400 a year to drive a model like that, a car like that. I think this is a steal. And then you look into some of the other models that want thousands of thousands for single fixes, which is crazy. They have also software glitches and issues that has been reported widely from people that bought the cars. It seems that Europe car manufacturers, legacy car manufacturers, are really struggling to produce vehicles that are smart vehicles. And we all know that the future is smart vehicles. So what these manufacturers decided to do is to focus on hybrids, which obviously is not going to play well because European Union has done some tests and they've picked up that most of the burning of fuels and whatnot is a lot higher number than with what it has been reported from the car manufacturers. And new laws are coming into power from 1st of January next year, which means all these hybrid vehicles are going to probably cease to exist, or their functionality or option as a transition between petrol cars and electric vehicles is just going to vaporize very quickly. So I hope people that are up there or onto the decision-making positions, they can understand that hybrids is just not the future. It's two systems to drive a vehicle. You don't need two systems, you need only one, and it's definitely towards renewable energy, so it has to be electric. Hydrogen is clearly still not working. Perhaps in the future will work well, but at the moment it's just too expensive, and it's not widely acceptable to have vehicles that are that expensive. Storage of the hydrogen is really difficult as well, and the vehicle seems to be having malfunctions all the time. So at the moment the hydrogen is out of the picture, so what is left is just electric vehicles. We saw that in China some of the electric vehicles from local manufacturers are now coming to Europe. So it seems that legacy automakers are lobbying really hard to increase the import duties for vehicles with at least 50% coming from China, because otherwise they might not be able to sell any cars at all. It seems the Chinese manufacturers are actually producing decent vehicles that are really good. They have some sort of unlimited funding from somewhere, probably from investors or governments, including China government. There are not many discussions about it, so it's a little bit of speculation, but currently there are electric vehicle manufacturers that are selling vehicles on a loss all the time. The only vehicles they do are electric, and they still keep doing that because in the future repairs, maintenance and whatnot will be actually into the hands of these brands. so they will be able to start pulling some profits back, that's for sure. Now what we can see that some of the brands from legacy automakers like Volkswagen in China has had like a crashing quarter. The results are really bad for Volkswagen. We do know that globally, if Volkswagen gets about 100% profit globally, we know that half of this is coming only from China. So now what we hear, what the reports are saying, what we hear from China, and of course from Volkswagen themselves, some newsletters, some articles and RSS news, is that Volkswagen has really struggled. So their profits there has plummeted 20%, which is basically a huge number, or just over about 13 to 15% of their global profits. This is big. This is so big because if the trend continues with the same speed within the next 2 to 3 years, Volkswagen might not be even able to operate in China, which will literally cut their profits on half. Don't forget that Volkswagen has a lot of debt. So if this car owns that much money and the profits are plummeting faster than everybody and anyone anticipated because of government rules, incentives, advancements into the technologies, and batteries getting cheaper with time, faster to be charged, they can last longer miles out there. So we can see that electric vehicles currently are already outperforming normal vehicles at almost any single metric that matters. And what matters is safety, which electric vehicles are currently on the top of the chain. We can see like Model Y and Model 3 are scoring outside of the normal safety, 5 stars out of 5, 10 points out of 10. It just seems that the rest of the car manufacturers, regardless of if they are with internal combustion engines or electric vehicles, just needs to push to catch up. So as long as Elon Musk continues to bring in this great news and bring in these great cars that are saving lives, and is updating the software FSD to become safer on the streets, then happy days for Tesla, happy days for Tesla investors, and I'm sure that this will be reflected into the company stock. It's a matter of time. Of course, this is not an advice to buy the stock. You need to do your own research. This is what I'm currently doing, so I'm just sharing what I'm doing. What you're doing, make sure that you know what you're doing. Let's get back to the competition of Tesla. We need to understand what Tesla does in order to find out if someone else is doing something like that, in order to assess the real competition. On Wall Street and other newsletters and magazines, they are still looking at Tesla as a car manufacturer. So this is a big issue because it's gonna be very hard for anyone to say, oh look, Tesla is a car manufacturer, let's compete with other car manufacturers, because it doesn't work like that. Tesla is an AI company that is a robotic one. Cars are also robots. So we can see that there is a big difference between cars and Tesla, if you know what I mean. If I'm looking into any other vehicle manufacturers like Ford and GM and Volkswagen and Audi and BMW and whatnot, they do make cars. These cars are also very good cars, but they are now moving towards being an ancient. It's like the horse and the carriage kind of situation, because they're still using combustion engines. This is really bad for the environment. This is really bad for us as people, because we're breathing this, and there are millions of people suffering each and every year because of that fumes. So I really hope that this thing is going to be gone quickly. And I've got some good news that Tony Silva actually said that as long as a full self-driving comes around, that the cars can be autonomous, then between that day and the next 10 years, more than 95% or above that will be electric vehicles that are full self-driving, and the rest will just go for scrap, hopefully being recycled and turned into more electric vehicles. Fingers crossed, because this is going to help us to breathe a cleaner air. And of course, it will help the environment. It will help us to spend less for transportation, and everything that we use, from stuff and products and materials, from building to food industry, should get, or at least on theory, should get cheaper. Especially the first companies that put their hands on electric vehicles that are autonomous will be able to reduce the price, because they're not going to be paying salaries for drivers and maintenance and whatnot, because the electric vehicles are that good. So if you would like to stay informed, and of course you are interested of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, and you're happy to learn more about my portfolio, what I do, how I invest, and of course the companies that I'm covering that are in my portfolio, including Tesla, then please like and subscribe that video. Now, one more thing that is super important when we are talking about Tesla is that we need to look into the rest of the manufacturers. And for example, we've got Toyota, we've got Porsche, and their sales are going down. Now, Toyota is slightly different story, because worldwide their sales went slightly up because of Europe and America, but in China, Toyota is having difficulties. They didn't pay attention to the electric vehicles. For some reason, they just left it there unaddressed, untold, and of course they are now called unprepared. Hopefully things will turn around and Toyota will catch up with electric vehicles. I do know they have some projects that they are currently working on, including some of the products and materials and the way how Tesla is building electric vehicles. So bring in the stamps, make sure you guys from Japan are making good Japanese cars, because they are super important for your economy. Toyota has big debt, and Toyota is one of the biggest companies in Japan, so they have a huge influence, and of course they own a lot from Mitsubishi, Hyundai, Honda and whatnot. So if this company really starts struggling, then it will be difficult for the whole industry, potentially even for the whole economy. So fingers crossed, Toyota will catch up. I hope you really do. Now, if I'm going to look into how Tesla is performing and what FSD is currently doing, something that other vehicles don't even have on their tables, is that absolutely insane. This year alone, that means 2024, the compute power for Tesla will go 500%. So that's 5 times than what they've managed to accumulate from last year. Which means Tesla is no longer anymore compute constrained. They're not constrained about engineers, because there is a loop that is working for Tesla. That means the cars are getting smarter, safer every single day. A little visit from Elon to China will wake up these speculations about FSD, including Europe. Now, Tesla employees, including Elon Musk, said that FSD is coming in Europe, FSD is coming in China. It's just a matter of time, not if, it's more likely when. I looked into some of the details, and we can see that a simple visit from Elon Musk to China shot up Tesla shares with 15%. By the data that is being provided online, we can see that if FSD is improved and is accepted from the Chinese government, and the Communist Party decides that Tesla FSD is safe, it's good for China, and they accept it, then we're going to see something like additional revenue of up to 2.5 billion US dollars from the FSD subscriptions alone. This doesn't include sales of electricity, maintenance of the vehicles, and of course if these numbers are even close to the reality, because it seems that the reality sometimes is very different from what investors are thinking, especially Wall Street. So Tesla continues to crash records. Q2 results will be coming around. Elon Musk has announced that all the charging stations now are going to continue to grow at a slower pace, but they will focus on charging stations to be more utilized and eventually grow them where they are. I don't think people need to worry about these charging stations. I think Elon Musk is doing a great job with rolling those outside. I believe that some roads will be transformed to charge electric vehicles while you drive on them. And of course, most people are charging these cars at home. If you travel somewhere, of course, you can go to a supercharger, top up your car. And now I think the software is going to get smarter and is going to start allocating people at different times at different EV chargers in order to cover the whole market in US, in Europe, in China, and wherever else they are operating, including in Australia. And possibly at some point we're going to look at them going into India and eventually into Africa. How long is this time scale? I don't know. We're going to stay and find out with the time. Thank you for watching today's episode. If you're a fan of the channel, you can contribute small monthly amounts on Patreon. This will help me to improve my content and my videos. Also, if you enjoy the channel, please subscribe, like, and of course click the notification bells so you never miss another episode. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.